Okay, let's run.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote, the weekly show where we introduce you to content creators of all shapes and sizes that join us from any and all corners of the nerd universe. We find out more about them by taking your questions. I am your host, Ryan of Nerd Culture, and our guest this week is a filmmaker, a fight choreographer, and boy, we've already dropped 2 F-bombs in the span of 5 seconds. Please welcome of Order 86, Richard Buswell, to the set. How you doing, Richard?
Absolutely great. How you doing, Ryan?
Doing well, doing well. Thank you so much for being with us, kind sir. Now, if you have any questions for Richard as we go throughout the course of this episode, please let us know in the comments, let us know in the chat. Whether you are tuning in live or on the replay, thank you so much for being here, and we do greatly appreciate it. And don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. With that being said, Richard, what would you say were some of your favorite books or writers growing up?
When I was a little kid, I read Doc Savage. From Kenneth Robeson, and then I graduated onto the Destroyer series, which was about Remo Williams and Chun. The very great satire and adventure books. I also read a lot of Sherlock Holmes, Edgar Allan Poe, Mark Twain, blanking on his name, Charles Dickens. So yeah, a lot of classic writers and pulp kind of fiction. What else? I was just going, wow, that wasn't expected.
What was favorite books or writers growing up? But you pretty much answered it.
Yeah. I thought, you wanted to go into filmmakers? Like, oh, no.
Well, we may get there. Let's one thing at a time, as they say.
No.
But let's segue right into that. What would you say are some of your favorite movies or filmmakers, past or present?
I was a big fan of Hitchcock. And also, I mean, what filmmaker isn't a big fan of Hitchcock? But also action films. I was always into the action films of the 80s, The Godfather, Francis Ford Coppola, anything that was action related or mystery related. I was always into the spy films, James Bond. I didn't really focus much on directors other than Hitchcock. And when I think of directors, I'm going, man, I can actually see him. Spielberg was a big influence. I used to watch a lot of movies growing up. Ray Harryhausen films were something I really enjoyed, watching the old epics. And I don't know, just kind of normal, healthy boy, nerding out kind of movies. I was not a big fan of slice of life movies, and I was never a big fan of arts films. I did enjoy early Woody Allen stuff. I liked Bananas very much. His later stuff got a little too cerebral and out there for me. But yeah, I'm all over the place. I've got very eclectic tastes.
What would you say is your favorite Spielberg film?
Jaws.
Well, you are going to need a bigger boat. That's true.
I also love the Indiana Jones series films. Crystal Skull notwithstanding, I didn't really care much for that. But I did like the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. I don't know how much Spielberg had to do with that, or how much of it was Spielberg and how much was Lucas, but I really did like that TV series. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan of prequels and sequels. I think when you make a movie, I think Hollywood gets to the point of going, hey, let's make more money. That made money. Let's do it again, make more money. And frequently they just make sequels that are either a rehash of the thing you already saw, or they just kind of suck. And they seem to do so more so lately than they did previously. But I like movies that that are creative and original. I think the fans, when you make a sequel or a remake of the film, basically you're doing the fans an injustice, because the fans' contribution is their own imagination. And when you make a prequel, you explain away all the things that they came up with these really fantastic stories for on their own. And then you just kind of like, nope, that's not the story. Here's the official version now. And then they have nothing more to work on. So, like I say, when they did the Star Wars prequels, when they did, God, now, I complained about this one a lot. When they did Solo. And
the Star Wars story, yeah.
Yeah, Solo, the explaining in detail how he got his blaster. Like I care. I'm sure there were fan theories about where this blaster comes from. Let the fans theorize. Don't explain it for me. Don't tell me how Chewbacca got his bandolier. It's like, I never even questioned that. Or that fuzzy dice. That fuzzy dice was when Star Wars originally came out. The fuzzy dice was a thing on cars all the time, and so they said, "Oh yeah, that's really cool right now. Let's put up a sci-fi version of it." And they made metal dice. When it came out, I got it. It was a joke. It was an in-joke. And now there's a whole story around this the fuzzy dice hanging off the Millennium Falcon. I was like, man, why? I don't need that. Explaining things I don't need explained to me, leaving me nothing to my imagination. That's why I don't like prequels.
Ah, I see. Are you still going to be there for Harrison Ford's swan song as Indiana Jones when the Dial of Destiny comes out?
Don't know. I've been burned too often by Hollywood. Again, I'm sorry. You got me on a soapbox rant of mine. It's like Hollywood films. I've been burned too often. I'm very reluctant to go see any of them. I'm going to wait until I hear what people have to say about it before I.
Sure.
I'm willing to give it a shot. I want them to do better. I want Hollywood to give. I want to be entertained.
I can understand that. Yeah. No. It's okay. It's okay. I totally understand that. So you mentioned Spielberg. Just real quick follow-up question to something you said earlier. Favorite Hitchcock film?
North by Northwest.
All right.
Like
Good old Cary Grant.
Yeah, I like Psycho, but North by Northwest has got to be my favorite. I see more subtlety in North by Northwest. For example, when I was a kid, I watched that movie when I was a kid, and I just loved it. You know that scene on the train where they're talking on the train? Well, I was a kid, and it's like, okay, they're on the train, they're traveling out there, and they're having this conversation about what they're going to do, and I'm just enjoying the hell out of it. And then finally in college, I watched it again and went, oh my God, they slept together. They had sex on the train. When I was a kid, I had no clue. That's what it means. It's subtle. It's like, if you're experienced enough and adult enough, you can catch that. And if you're not, you can enjoy it for what it is.
Absolutely. Fair enough. I mean, for me, so far for the Hitchcock films I've seen, I really like Rear Window. I really like that one.
Rear Window's good. I do enjoy it. I like it better than the other one Jimmy Stewart did, Vertigo.
Yes. Yeah. Vertigo was off-putting to me. I'm thinking to myself, this guy's a nasty dude. What he did to this woman. He did it to her twice. It's weird. It's sad. I don't know. There's really no protagonist in that movie when you think about it.
Yeah. It's just what's going on, and oh my God, I can't stand heights. It just didn't really speak to me very well.
I don't know.
But Rear Window is a great one-room film. It's like everything takes place in one location. As a filmmaker, I can appreciate, oh my God, that's so cheap to produce. Even though he built the entire backyard, he built the entire courtyard area from scratch, so it wasn't that cheap.
Well, that's true. But it's still a heck of a movie. So if no one has seen, if the person who's watching or listening to this episode of And I Quote, once again, we're talking with filmmaker Richard Buswell on this episode. Don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. If you haven't seen any Hitchcock films, we just gave you a few titles that you should check out. So there you go. You're welcome. With that, with that being said, when did you decide to become a writer, Richard?
I never decided to become a writer. I just fell into it. Actually, Order 86 was the first feature-length script that I wrote, and Alex Paxton and I got together. We've been working on films and things for a while, and we decided we did some short films, and we decided it was time that was to try our hand at a feature film. And in 2014, I think it was, we sat down in the back of a coffee house and came up with the outline for the movie Order 86. And then at the time, I was working at H&R Block as a senior systems tech support person. And when the season was done, seasonal was the word I was trying to think of. I was a seasonal employee, and when the season was done, Alex was supposed to write the script. He hadn't written anything, so I said, "Send me the outline." And I looked at it, and the first scene came into my head. And so before I could forget it, I wrote it down. And then, but it kept percolating. The next scene was going on. Went, oh, okay. So 20 minutes later, I sat down and started writing, and I just wrote everything, all my ideas down, until I just didn't have any more ideas. And then I was just going about puttering around the house. And then 4 hours later, I sat back down and finished the script. And I had a 62-page script. And I sent it to Alex, and he read it and says, "Oh, it's really cool. When are you going to write the ending?" And I ended it on a very dark note. And he's like, "Well, that was the ending, but okay." And then I sat down and came up with a couple other scenes. And then over the course of the next 3 or 4 months, Alex and I passed the script back and forth, reworking it, massaging it. But it's essentially was written in a day. And I don't normally do that. But the reason I was writing it in a day is because I spent an entire season at H&R Block thinking about this movie. Mm-hmm. So the ideas were kind of percolating over the long term. So when I finally got to writing it down, it just kind of flowed out. But I don't consider myself a writer normally. I'm a guy who comes up with concepts. I come up with ideas, and I can maybe write a scene, but I can't do dialogue.
I gotcha. What would you say are some of the rewards about being a filmmaker?
Being creative. I like the process of being creative. Or to put it another way, I like the creative process. There are days when you're actually making the film and making the movie, you just want to tear your hair out. You want to, beat people's heads in, and you want to curse and stomp. And then there are days when things just go well, and it's an absolute joy, and you're going, "Oh my God, that was the best thing ever." And then when you get done, all those terrible days that you had, give it some time, and you have some great war stories to tell. So it's like even the bad stuff has a positive impact down the road. But really the main thing is coming up with something new and creative, and hopefully I do this to satisfy myself mostly. It's like I want to make something that I like, and I hope that you like it too. And my tastes aren't so far off the beaten track that people aren't going to like my work. But frankly, I do it, it's a sense of self-satisfaction, creating something great. And then I look at it and going, "Yeah, that's not as good as I want it to be. I'll do better next time." So I'm very harsh. I'm a very harsh critic of my own stuff. When you met me, I was not the most praiseworthy person of my own film. Like I said, it doesn't suck. And that's true. It does. I'll stand by that. I will absolutely defend that statement. My film does not suck, and I dare you to watch it and tell me it does. Now, is it the greatest spy film ever made? I wish I could say that.
There you go. Mic drop moments. On the opposite side of the coin, though, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges about being a filmmaker?
from a practical standpoint, funding. Paying, you can make a film on a budget, but when you do, you're dependent on everybody being very kind and gentle to you. You're working with volunteers. You have to be very tactful and diplomatic. There are some times when you just need to lower the boom to get people to work hard, and you're afraid to do that because you don't want them to quit. And funding would take care of that. There also, there are film ideas I want to do. I can't make on the kind of budget I used for Order 86. I mean, Order 86, I spent $48,000 of my own money to make this film. And that was just covering the costs that I couldn't beg, borrow, or steal from others. Now, the hardest thing is getting people involved, getting them to participate, and getting them to commit, especially if it's a bigger project. Most people are willing to commit on a small project. If you go on, I do, Alex and I do radio shows right now because they're very cheap, and we put them on YouTube. And getting actors to come in and read for one day, not a problem. Order 86, we spent 3 months, 24 shooting days over a 3-month period. And the biggest problem was herding the cats, trying to get them to show up and be available when we needed them to be here. So organizing, and unfortunately, the hardest part is the organization, the trying to coordinate, the coordination of everything and everyone is probably the hardest aspect of the whole filmmaking process, and the most frustrating one.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And once again, we are talking with filmmaker and fight choreographer Richard Buswell on this episode of And I Quote. Don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. If you have any questions for Richard, whether it's live or on the replay, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Be more than happy to hear from you. And thank you for sharing those when it comes to the rewards and challenges of being a film maker. Any special memories for you from being at conventions or other events, whether you're there as a vendor or there as an attendee?
I've been to a few film festivals and conventions, and the fun thing really is watching the shows and then talking to the people afterwards. Again, one of the problems with Order 86 is we were ready to release it when COVID hit and all the festivals shut down. And I was really looking forward to actually interacting with the audience and finding out, gee, getting firsthand, what do you think? When I go to conventions, it's fun meeting with the people. It's just fun wandering around and talking to people and kind of shooting the breeze with them. And funny enough, it's like you see celebrities and it's kind of like, I know that guy. I don't want to talk to him. It's not that I don't want to talk to him. It's I just don't want to be the guy, the annoying fan who's kind of constantly in their face. And I've had that happen to me. Someone recognized me from work that I've done, and it was just the most unsettling moment of a complete stranger coming up and going, I know you, I saw you in this show. And I went, I did that 2 years ago. I barely even remember that show. It's flattering, but unsettling. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be, I'm uncomfortable with strangers coming up to me, that it's like, am I supposed to know you? Did we meet? Or are you someone that I met and forgot? Or are you just somebody who doesn't know me? That's why I tend to be very, very shy. And I don't want to do that to celebrities. So even though I see them and desperately want to talk to them, I try to kind of stay my distance.
Oh, okay. I can understand that. What advice would you give to aspiring filmmakers out there?
Keep at it. Don't give up. Be creative. Don't be afraid to be creative. The fundamental principle I make when I'm creating a script, working on a script, or trying to do a show, I think the most important aspect is first characters. The character is the most important aspect. If you need someone that the audience can relate to and care about. And when I say relate to, I mean not the representation that's popular now, but I'm talking about relatability. What makes a character relatable? We're all human. Bambi is a non-human character, but what makes Bambi relatable is the human traits that he's been imbued with. You know, Bambi lost his mother. He's very upset, very desperate, and we can all relate to that. And we care about what happens to Bambi, even though it's not a human. The second thing that's important, the second priority you need to focus on is interesting things need to happen to these characters that you care about. See, if you don't care about the character, what happens to them isn't important. Friday the 13th, we have cardboard cutout characters you don't care about when they get killed by Jason. Okay. You're not upset that they died. You're just going, oh, cool death. Saving Private Ryan, the soldiers that you got to know, when something happens to them because you care about them, what happens to them is very, very moving to you. Whereas all the extras who stormed the beach at Normandy, you recognize like, yeah, that was a bad thing, but let's move on with the film. You know, that makes sense. So you want characters you can relate to, that you care about, doing things that are interesting, and interesting things are happening to them. And if you have those two things, then you have the formula for a successful film.
There you go. There you go. Enough said. Enough
That's
said.
my advice.
No, I got you. I completely get or understand, I should say, from where you're coming from. So when it comes to the project known as Order 86, how do you best describe it to someone who's interested in seeing the film? What's the pitch?
It's one of the most creative spy films made in years. You will never guess what's going to happen next. It's unpredictable. One of my complaints about Hollywood films, and one of the reasons I made this film, is that when I watch Hollywood movies, I find them to be painfully predictable. And I mean painfully predictable, not just predictable, but I watch a third of the way in, I know everything's going to happen. And it isn't because of clues in the show, it's because of who made it, because they're using the same formulas, and it's very formulaic filmmaking. What I did with Order 86 is I took the Hollywood formula and turned it on its ear. When I was writing the script, I said, okay, a decision needs to be made. When I go left, Hollywood goes left. Okay, I'll go right. Hollywood goes left, I'll go right. Next decision, Hollywood goes left, I'll go left. Why? Because if I always went right when Hollywood goes left, I'd be predictable too. So you won't be able to guess what's going to happen. It's a very difficult film for me to talk about because it's a spy movie. I don't want to really give anything away. I don't want to give away any of the surprises or secrets, but it is a film about the dangers of over-reliance on technology. That much I can say. About a computer virus, different kind of virus.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's not like Matthew Broderick walks in and starts playing war games on his old school computer in the 80s.
No. It's the fundamental principle of the through line of the film is a virus has been created that can wipe out computer technology developed after 1986.
Ooh.
And that virus is contained on a hard coded onto a chip, which has been hidden inside a coin, and the coin has found its way into the hands of a waitress who doesn't know what she has. And every spy in the world is coming after her, and she doesn't know why. That's the premise of the film.
There you go. Wow, sounds great. Wish you the best of luck with it, with your cast and your crew and everything else going on with it. As far as Order 86 goes, what would you say is your favorite James Bond movie?
Goldfinger, hands down. Although the new Casino Royale really gave it a run for its money. I thought Daniel Craig might be my new favorite James Bond until he made the rest of them. And not that he did a bad job. Daniel Craig did a fine job. I just think he had really not very good scripts to work with.
Some people have said that.
Yeah, I liked him as Bond. I thought he had the attitude down pretty well. But Connery is still my favorite Bond. And
there you go.
Goldfinger is my favorite Bond film.
Right on, right on.
I think that's everybody's favorite Bond.
Well, I mean, for me, since for those of you maybe watching or listening, I may be a bit younger than someone who's watching or listening to this. So for me, the first Bond film I ever saw in the theater was GoldenEye. So I got a soft spot for Pierce Brosnan's GoldenEye. But I also do agree that Casino Royale is pretty darn good with Daniel Craig. That is a dark, gritty, well done spy film. It's really well done. And it's funny because Martin Campbell directed both the first Bond film with Pierce Brosnan, known as GoldenEye, and then he came back for Casino Royale. So he rebooted the franchise, in my opinion, successfully twice.
Well, I also liked GoldenEye. I thought Pierce Brosnan was a great Bond. I thought I would have liked him see him make more Bond movies. I didn't, but GoldenEye didn't. Someone told me, "Oh, I love GoldenEye." I went, "Yeah, I don't remember it." And I had to go back and watch it. When I watched it, oh yeah, this is a good movie, but it didn't stick in my brain for some reason. But yeah, when you mention it, it's like, yeah, I don't think about it, but that was a good film. I ain't going to argue with you on that.
It's okay. It's okay. Different people like different kinds of movies, and one installment of a franchise may not be the favorite of somebody else, and that's okay. There's no problem with that. Once again, we are talking with filmmaker and fight choreographer Richard Buswell of Order 86 here on this episode of And I Quote. Don't forget to like and share this episode with all of your closest friends. If you have any questions for Richard, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Whether you're watching this live or on the replay, thank you so much for being with us. And I do want to let you know that this episode of And I Quote is indeed powered by our good friends over there at Poddex. Now, Poddex are unique interview questions and episode starting prompts in the palm of your hand. So whether you are a new podcaster or existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience or get more engagement, you're going to want to check out poddex.com. Use the code Ryan10. That's RYAN10, Ryan10 for 10% off your first order. You're not going to want to miss out on that. So with that being said, Richard, what is something that you like that most people don't?
Kumquats.
There you go.
I don't know that most people don't like them. Most people don't even know what they are. I miss them. I used to get them in my Christmas stocking every Christmas. They're little miniature, not oranges. They're very thin skinned. They are a kumquat, but I don't know if they're more closer to a tangerine. But you eat them whole, skin and all.
Wow,
You
interesting.
just pop them in your mouth and chew.
Oh. Interesting. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Be yourself, and don't try to get people to like you. That was probably the single best piece of advice. It came from a stranger. I was fresh. I was just in my freshman at college, and I was a really annoying person, in your face kind of guy, because I just desperately wanted you to like me. I was just trying to get you to like me. Come on, get to know me and you'll like me. And this guy said, look, I'm going to sit you down and set you straight. It's like, we are not friends. Done. And it just don't mean we're going to be friends, but this might help you out. And the thing was just chill out, stop getting in people's face, be yourself, and just sit back and let people get to know you. And I went, that's so counterintuitive. How can the people get to know me if I never approach them? And as crazy as it sounds, it works. And I have my opinions, and I can be quirky and weird and snarky and things, but generally I'm a pretty likable guy once people get to know me.
There you go. The more you know. There you go. Very, very good pieces of advice. Now, if you could ask one person just one question and they had to answer truthfully, who and what would you ask them?
I'm not sure who, but I tend to run on a one-track mind.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of my film? Must be what I ask. Who? Anybody who watched it. I don't know. I always figure out my own answers, mostly. I'm a natural born philosopher, so I spend a lot of time thinking about things and asking myself the questions that I don't ask other people. But I tend to focus in on stuff. And what I crave most from people, what I really want to know from people is just their honest feedback. I don't want to be praised with false. I don't want people trying to make me feel better. So it's like, I just want to know what you honestly thought, good, bad, or indifferent. And I think whatever project I'm on at the moment, that's the thing I'm concerned about. The things I did in the past, I care less about because they're past. I'm moving forward.
All right, there you go. There you go. Now, what's the favorite thing you've bought so far this year? Could be anything.
Oh, I'm just trying to think, what have I bought this year? I haven't been done my shopping. Probably this headset.
Very good. Good piece of technology and a very useful one for when you're doing podcasts, whether it's And I Quote at Neuroculture Channel or something else. You never know when you're going to need it. So with that being said, when you pass on, what do you want to be remembered for?
I was a man of good character.
There you go.
Well, my dad was a man of good character, and he did a lot of things that maybe he'll be remembered for, maybe he won't. He helped build a museum. He helped build a library. I mean, he accomplished a lot of things, but I just remember him as being a good man, and I try to emulate him.
Totally respect that. Totally respect that. Very, very, very good stuff. Now, I do want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Richard Buswell of Order 86 for being our guest on this episode of And I Quote. We greatly appreciate it. Now, where can the person watching or listening to this follow you on social media and everything that you have coming up?
Well, I don't do much on social media, but I do have a Facebook page, Richard Buswell, or there's also a Mary Band Productions Facebook page. And if you look under my name, you can see Mary Band Productions. The D is capitalized on purpose. I also have a YouTube channel. You can find that at Mary Band Productions. We do radio shows and release some videos there. And there is an Order 86 web page, Facebook page. And we also have a order86movie.com web page and a marybandproductions.com web page. So I update them periodically, but not on a regular basis. That about covers it.
Well, there you go. Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us, and thank you for being with us here, Richard. My name is Ryan of Neuroculture. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. Also, we got a lot of great shows coming your way very soon. Lots of episodes of And I Quote, lots of other movie anniversary watch-alongs, so stay tuned to our social media for that. Also, we are this close to hitting 1,000 subscribers on this very YouTube channel you are watching right now. Once we do, we're going to throw a great live stream with returning guests, some surprises, and some special giveaways for you, our fans. And we really appreciate all your support. We've surpassed over 800 subscribers now. We're very proud of that. We're very happy with that. And we want to take this opportunity to thank you for supporting us in everything that we're doing here on this channel. All we do is share our love and our passion for pop culture and fandoms and all that kind of stuff. And we enjoy doing it by interacting with you, our audience, or having special guests here on our shows. We really, really appreciate that. Also, we have a very, very special guest joining us on And I Quote on Thursday night, May the 11th. And it is the one, the only actor and writer and OG Zordon from the hit series Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 1. David Fielding is going to be with us. That's right. The voice and likeness of Zordon, the wise sage who guided those 5, which later on became 6, teenagers with attitude from the 90s, is going to be joining us. We could not be any happier than to have him on our show on And I Quote Thursday night, May the 11th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. All the links to where you can follow us are located within the description below. All the links to where you can follow Richard Buswell are also located within the description of this video down below, so make sure you check him out. Check out Order 86, all the great stuff he's got going on. We really, really appreciate it. And once again, thank you for being here. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, smash that notification bell so you get notified whenever our new videos go up. And in the meantime, stay healthy, stay strong, stay safe. And remember, life is better when watching movies or when you're reading. Take a look.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Sweet dreams they placed on me inside my mind. Chance my truth, twist the past, my memories are fading fast. Am I still missed? You understand? Who do you want me to be? You understand? Am I still missed?
In the summer of 1953, private investigator Will Lucky Marks was working as the in-house private eye for Arcane Pacific Pictures. Trapped inside the studio with the killer, Lucky must find the killer before time runs out. Lot 28. Own it today. Available iTunes and Amazon.com.
Choose high-flying action. Choose death-defying escapes. Choose spine-tingling thrills. Choose nail-biting intrigue. Now's your chance to choose the adventure. The Captain Hawkland Adventures. Available on Amazon.com. You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Good morning! Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.